The royalty fishery is on the River Avon at Christchurch in Dorset. But don't think pretty chalk streams and mayfly chasing trout. The fishery specialises in barbel, pike, sea trout and salmon. Here's one someone spotted last season tucked up under the bank. Fishery manager Jason Lewis reckons it was about £35.
The royalty represents about 1.5 miles of the River Avon, right at the entrance, and is the first stopping ground for most of our migratory fish before they go on their journey upstream to the headwaters at Salisbury.
Jason is a world authority on these little fellas. They are called Devon minnows, and he's going to show us how to fish them.
Traditional Devon minnows are cylindrical.
Yeah.
When they spin in the water, the colours merge. You'll notice on this one that it has a flat top and a flat bottom.
Got you.
Which is a reflex action in the water. And the reflex minnows aren't new, it's an old concept that comes from the 1920s, 30s and up until the post-war period. And the idea is this flickers in the water, so as it spins you get more positive flickering action, which is considered to disturb the fish more and promote a more aggressive take.
So you've made these yourself, yeah?
Yeah, we've got the Devon blanks made.
Okay.
The fins are flexible.
Right.
They're made out of fairy liquid bottles. So we recycle.
Brilliant.
So they're punched out. When these are first turned, they come out in cylindrical.
Yeah.
And we just take the tops and the bottoms off with sandpaper and paint them up relative to the colours that we want to use. Colour choice may make a difference.
Got you.
I've been in the fortunate position of fishing in chalk streams, which this represents, and clear conditions, and you can have one of these in front of a salmon wiping its nose for an hour and it will do nothing. Suddenly the tail will stiffen, its mouth will go, and it will just grab. And I've seen other cases where you put it in and the fish from 9 foot away has just come on and absolutely smashed it. So we can never legislate for when they're going to do it, but it's quite exciting when you get to see it. Lead slides onto the link.
Got you. So that's going to hit the bottom.
And that will follow it.
Yeah. And that's floating.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. These, easy.
Yeah.
Throw them out, reel them back in. These, I have never fished with, so you're going to have to show me how to fish them.
That will be a pleasure.
So it's off to the river, and it's one of the most historic beats that we've ever fished. We walk past a weir that was put in at the time of Henry VIII. The first salmon caught here on the fly was in 1790, so the records say.
Right, we're going to be fishing the pipes area to begin with. Looking at the water, we've got a central channel that we're going to focus our efforts on here. We want the Devon across the other side and we want it moving across. Okay, so we're going to start off with a short cast here. We're going to extend it, this side, just the other side of the channel, then extend it, because the reason we're going to extend it, we won't be walking through this. So we extend the cast to make sure that we've covered that section of water, then we'll go downstream and do that section and then downstream again, so we can be certain that we've covered that section of the pipes. It's a really important piece of water. What we have here is the parlour, and then we have the great weir up here. This is a stopping point. It's almost like a junction where they have to make a decision. Am I going to go to the parlour? Am I going to go to the great weir? Typically they go where the greatest force of water is coming from, but this is a stopping point.
Now those eagle-eyed viewers there, have a look at this. Right, this rod is ancient. This is older than I am. It's even older than Charlie, who's actually filming this. And we've got an old reel, just listen to it. So this is really stepping back in time. We've got a really old method. Just lob it out. But it's a great way of just getting your Devon minnow, because it floats. The Devon minnow doesn't sink, it's just the weight that's taking it down. So depending on the length of your sort of dropper, that's how deep you're fishing, and you're just skating along the bottom, and Jason says all the fish here hug the bottom. So great way when those fish are coming in and they're really laying low. Just shows you, we think every new innovation, it's a new thing, we've designed it. It's not. Our ancestors were doing this centuries ago. Sounds beautiful as well.
The sensation is that the lead weight is there to anchor the Devon minnow onto the riverbed, and that lead weight will come into contact with all of the stones as it moves across the pool. So the feeling, being a gravel riverbed here, is a tapping sensation from the lead touching all the stones as it moves across, and we're relying on the current to move it across.
Kissing the stones, Jason said to start with, and I just changed now to lighter lead, and I can just feel it just tap, tap, tap all the time. One thing different he did tell me as well, that with this method, you have to strike. Now, anytime you fish for salmon, if you strike, a gilly will clip you around the ear hole. But Jason said we've got to set the hook. One other thing, I've got to show you this. If you look at the Devon minnow, when we started with a very bright one, change colour, brown, nice spots on the side, but the important thing to have a look at is the size of the treble hooks in comparison to the size of the body. Because if the salmon takes it, if your treble hooks are too small, you're not going to set the hook. So you've got to make sure that they're slightly wider than the thick part of the body, so then when you set the hook, it sets it.
It's a very well managed water with lots of room for wildlife, as well as big fish. And we're very privileged to meet one of the big beasts of the riverbank.
The man standing next to me, a little bit higher than me, Richard Hill. Being a Welshman, stuck in my throat, England, Saracens. How are you, Richard?
I'm very good, thank you.
You caught anything yet?
Only a tiny little perch, which obviously is not the aim today at all. Not the big one, which is obviously a salmon today.
I've got to ask you, England, Korea, what did it feel like the first time you put that white shirt on?
It's a very special, it's a very special thing. I was fortunate enough in terms of growing up to be involved with representative junior rugby and go all the way through. And just each time you move up that one age grade, I suppose the realism of, could I do it? Starts to hit home a bit more.
What was the toughest side that you faced? Is it the All Blacks or South Africa?
A lot will come back down to what you constitute the toughest match. Certainly, New Zealand gave us some of the biggest workovers with the element of physicality, but also the quality of players they have. They have, these big guys that can run, pass, run over the top of you. I mean, there's nothing worse than having a Jonah Lomu there in front of you who...
A winger was 17, 18 stone.
Yeah, and he just chooses, on any particular day or on any particular match, any minute of a match, he can decide whether he runs around you, over you. Both have the same embarrassing effect. So you've always got to be on top of your game against them.
Now you've competed at highest level. You've won a lot. You've retired. Where do the highs come now? Is it fishing? Is it actually hooking a salmon on a river?
No, that's definitely weed. Don't you worry. I haven't really caught enough salmon really to probably say it's up there. I mean, certainly there was one day, here on the Royalty, must be about 2-3 years ago now. I had probably in the early days of actually fishing here as well for salmon, and I managed to catch 2 in one morning. Now, I didn't know for about 6 months what a big thing that was. It was not until someone actually had a little look at the official records, and it actually worked out that may not have been done for about 30 years.
Oh, right.
So I do know the magnitude of what I've achieved, and I've fished it enough times this year to know.
It wasn't
I can see.
thing.
Yeah, I can see those statistics are true.
I won't stop you from concentrating on fishing now. Thanks for having a chat. I'm going to go down there now.
Well, good luck.
So fingers crossed for both of us. Just one of us can fish, please.
And if it's England 1-0, I don't really mind about that.
It's Richard who gets lucky first. Well, Hal says that's England rugby for you. All luck, really. He's into a mullet. Then, can you believe it? He hooks into another fish. It's a pike. If you would like to know more about the royalty fisheries, then go to southernfisheries.com.